You're stuck at home in quarantine. 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
Happy Hump Day. Good Wednesday evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Wednesdays and Thursdays are typically my busier days at work. Today was no exception, especially the middle of the day. So I had a pretty busy morning. And then I had a bunch of meetings back to back in the middle of the afternoon, and then had a quick break and the follow-up to the story from the other day where I went to Home Depot and left because I was trying to do curbside pickup. And, you know, they have the number you call when you get there, and I was literally on hold. I didn't even talk to anybody for over 20 minutes, and I just left because I had other things to do. So I went back there today, and it went better. So the first good sign when I got there was that there were actually some open spots during the designated parking area for curbside pickup. So I got spot number 2, and then I called and put me on hold, and I waited like maybe 8 minutes, significantly less than last time. And they said, like, what's your order number? And I gave them my order number, and they said, what's your name? And I gave them my name, and then they said, all right, we'll be right out. And then I waited probably like another 10 minutes or so, 10 or 12 minutes, and then they brought it out and put it right in the back seat of my car. And so Home Depot went better today. There, I got my stuff. The whole process took probably like 23 minutes. Still not nearly as good as Target was. Target, again, is the best. It's the app. You do the app. They come. They scan the app through the window. They put your stuff in the trunk. Super easy. Home Depot, less easy, more of a wait, but improved today from the other day. There's still a line to get into Home Depot, so you would think, I don't know if just like it's super busy, but those warehouses are so big that you'd think they'd be able to fit, a decent number of people. But I guess with any store, it's all about percentages, right? And not the actual number of people that you get going with. So don't know about that. Otherwise, a good day. Started dinner a little bit early, and we're having a ribeye that I'm sous videing. And so that's in the water bath right now. I'm upping the temperature a little bit today on the ribeye to see how it goes. So, a lot of like good steaks, like your New York strip, your fillets, all of those, I just want like medium rare, delicious, it's tender, doesn't really need any help. But everything I've read about the ribeye is actually like, let's go up. So for those other steaks, I'd do probably 129 and be super happy. Everything I read about the ribeye is like inch it up. Once you hit apparently like 134, 134.5 degrees, then suddenly something magical happens where the fat and the connective tissue starts breaking down some more, and it's supposed to be some magical thing. And so the last 4 or 5 I've done at 134.5, and they're great. They're like super good. Love it. But I've been convinced to try it even a little bit higher, up to 136. So we'll see. I'll report back tomorrow, but I'm excited to try my ribeye at 136 degrees. I'll probably take it out after about 3.5 hours. I think you're pretty good once you're at 2 hours, 2:15. I'm going from frozen, so I like to add another hour onto the time when I'm starting from frozen as opposed to just a refrigerated piece of meat. So I'll have some green beans on the side, have some roasted potatoes. Really excited for steak night here at the Kelly Williams household. And that's pretty much it. So tonight's cocktail is a pretty simple cocktail that I had once a long time ago. Pretty sure I made it a long time ago, years and years ago, but haven't really returned to it since. And then I was sifting through a couple of my cocktail books today, and we're like, if I have the ingredients for that, let's give it a whirl. So I think, let's see, 42, 43, 44, 45. Yeah, today might be day 46 of doing a different cocktail every day at 5 o'clock here. And so this is the 46th, probably plus. There's some nights I've done like 2 different ones or 3 different ones. But, I'm starting to like stretch a little bit more at the outskirts of things that are maybe not my wheelhouse or not things that I've made before, or trying new cocktails, which I think is good. It's good to experiment, try new things that you might not have tried otherwise. And this is something I've appreciated about this little experiment of doing a unique cocktail every day. And remember, my goal is to get through Negroni Week, which is the first week of June. And so we're getting there. We're already, more than halfway through May. What's today? May 19th, I think? Something like that. May 20th? It's already the 20th. Wow. All right. So this is called the Brown Derby. It's a bourbon drink. And it's associated with sort of old 1930s Hollywood. And so, like a lot of cocktails at the time, and that's often the story, there's a couple of competing, probably not totally true stories about the origin of this cocktail. But the original story went that there was this Hollywood club called the Vendome Club, right on this strip, I think, right on Sunset Boulevard. And they created this drink allegedly in the early 1930s. Must have been after 33, 34 later, because Prohibition is at the very early 30s. But apparently there was another restaurant nearby this club called the Brown Derby. And it was literally, the restaurant was in the shape of a big brown derby hat. And so this is apparently a tribute to them. Unclear why they're creating this tribute to this other restaurant, but it showed up in this book, Hollywood Cocktails, in the early 1930s. And so that's where, for a long time, people were giving credit to. Now, some more recent cocktail historians have realized that this is actually just a total ripoff of another cocktail that was in the Savoy Cocktail Book, the super famous cocktail book, coming out of London, and Harry Craddock, the author of that book. And so, is it stolen? I don't know. Are they serving it there? I don't know. There's also, things get even more mixed up because there's another drink that they were drinking in New York by the name of the Brown Derby. That's a totally different drink. That was like a rum and a lime and another drink. I don't know. But anyway, this is what has come to be known as the Brown Derby. And I'm going to be approximating two different recipes that are close to each other but have some slight differences that I'll talk through. But at its heart, it is a bourbon and grapefruit with some sweetened by honey drink. Sounds delicious, right? I don't see how you can really go wrong. So let's build it here. We're going to start with 2 ounces of, this is my medium-sized jigger, so let's use that side. 2 ounces of bourbon, and that's 1 ounce, and 2 ounces. Ooh, this bottle's pretty low. It's okay, I have more in the cabinet. And then we're going to do 2 to 1 with grapefruit juice. Here's my grapefruit here, but I've already squeezed some a moment ago. And so we're going to use 1 ounce of grapefruit juice. I love grapefruit juice. Whoa. Since I spilled a little on the table there. And then, so I have Jim Meehan's recipe, which calls for 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup. Honey syrup is just a 1-to-1 honey to water mixture to make it easier to work with. I had some in my fridge. This was unlabeled in my fridge, so I'm like 90% sure it's honey syrup, but, oh yeah, it's definitely honey. Excellent. I'm usually pretty good about labeling my syrups. It's gotten a little crazy, though, in my fridge lately, as you might be able to imagine. All right. So Jim Meehan's book says 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup. The Death & Co. book says 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. I will just kind of split the difference. And do sort of like a scant 3/4 of an ounce of honey syrup in there. And then the other interesting thing about the Death & Co. Recipe is that it calls for just like 1 small teaspoon of lemon juice, like just a little bit. So, I'm interested in that. Seems like they have a reason for doing that. So I'm just going to give it like a nice little, just a little squeeze of some lemon. just to brighten it up a little bit in there. And that's it. A nice simple drink, which we are going to shake up and then strain into a coupe. And that's all. So I love the simple drinks that have just a few ingredients and really just let those ingredients shine through. Enjoy the bourbon, enjoy the juice, have some good sweetener. Let's shake it up. Smells grapefruity. All right, I'm gonna double strain into my coupe here, and I feel like my camera is like a little bit sideways today. Let me see if I can fix that. Ooh, is that better? I don't know. All right, strain into my coupe. 1 strainer, 2 strainer. And the other place that my 2 recipes differ is that one of them has no garnish, and then one of them calls for a grapefruit twist. And so before I juiced this grapefruit, I set aside a small piece of grapefruit twist, and I like to just give it a little. And here we have the Brown Derby, harkening back to old 1930s Hollywood. Cheers. Fine drink. A fine drink. The honey syrup actually brings something interesting to it in the background by sweetening it up with the honey. I think that's probably my favorite part of the drink. I don't know, bourbon and grapefruit juice, maybe just like not my top selection. It's kind of like it's almost like it's missing some of the acidity and the sourness of like a whiskey sour that I'd make with lemon juice. But it's tasty, it's well balanced. Not something that I would, add to my top 10 list of favorite cocktails, but it's good. I'll definitely enjoy it. And that's about it. The Brown Derby cocktail. I wonder too if sort of adjusting the type of grapefruit, if I had like a more tart grapefruit or a more sweet grapefruit, how that would affect it. I think the honey brings plenty of sweetness, and so I wonder if using a grapefruit that has more tartness to it, like a white grapefruit or a yellow grapefruit, as opposed to this this sort of ruby red, which is on the sweeter side, I think that might bring something a little bit more interesting to the drink. I'm glad I put in that squeeze of lemon, otherwise it would have been even less tart. So I kind of get why they're pushing that piece of it in the Death & Co recipe.
It's 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
That's all I got. The Brown Derby. Have a good night, everyone.